Good morning to second year BSc paramedical students. Today's class is on diseases of the kidney, mainly glomerulonephritis, pyelonephritis, obstructive uropathy. So most important here is to remember these terminologies. Okay. So in each system, you have to remember those terms. Okay, each disease will be named differently, and you should able to try to remember what is it. Okay, so name of a disease itself will give the clue. Name of a disease itself will tell you what is it. Example, glomerulonephritis. So what does this term tell you? Itis means infection. Itis means inflammation. Inflammation. Okay. So it is inflammation of glomerulus. Glomerulonephritis means inflammation of the glomerulus. Pyelonephritis. Pyelonephritis. It is also inflammation, but of the tubules of the kidney. Okay, collecting tubules, ducts of the kidneys. Okay. Obstructive uropathy. So as the name tells you, there is obstruction in the urinary tract. That's why it is uropathy. Pathy means any disease where you actually doesn't know much of the cause. Those are usually they used to term it as pathis earlier. Okay, so it is obstructive uropathy or obstructive renal disease. So before going into the disease proper, you should know the normal anatomy and physiology. That means normal structure and function of the organs. You should always remember them. You should not forget. Okay, so what is this? This is a picture of kidney cut section. Okay, so kidney has outer cortex and inner medulla. So in the cortex there is functional unit of kidney. What is functional unit of kidney? It is nephron. Nephron is a functional unit of kidney where the urine is formed. Okay, so when the blood passes through the glomerulus, okay, unwanted substances will be filtered out as urine. Okay, and this urine will be collected in the collecting ducts and then enters into the renal pelvis. You can see the left side figure showing you the collecting system. Okay, renal pelvis leading to ureters. So this is a diagram of a nephron, which is a functional unit. Okay, so first it starts with glomerulus. You can see the red part which is labeled as glomerulus. Here the blood will be flowing, okay, from the arteries they will go to veins. Okay, during this period there is filtration of unwanted material. Okay, you can see the arrow, dotted arrow. So unwanted substances will be filtered into these tubules. Okay, these tubules, and ultimately it will reach, you can see the right side lower part arrow, ultimately it reaches the urinary bladder. So this is a photograph showing you where the filtration is taking place. Okay, you can see one RBC, red color, disc shaped RBC, and red colored lumens are the blood vessels. Red color lumens are the blood vessels. Okay, from the blood vessel into the urinary space, you can see a space between two cells. To the left side of the photograph, it is named as urinary space. Okay, so this is the space to which the urine is collected. From the blood vessel, waste products will be moving out into that urinary space. Okay, from that urinary space they will enter the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and distal tubule, then the collecting system. So as I told you, glomerulonephritis is inflammation of glomeruli. So glomerular diseases or glomerulonephritis is divided into primary and secondary. Okay, so remember, glomerulonephritis is inflammation of the glomeruli and it's divided into primary and secondary. Okay, primary disease glomerulonephritis means the cause is confined to the kidney. Okay, so then it is called as primary glomerulonephritis. Secondary glomerulonephritis, there is an underlying cause. Okay, any systemic disease leading to disorder of the kidney or glomerulonephritis is called as secondary glomerulonephritis. Okay, so you can see here the diabetic nephropathy, amyloidosis. So diabetes, amyloidosis, lupus, all these can also cause glomerulonephritis of the kidney. Okay, so all these come under secondary causes. So there are different types of glomerulonephritis. There are different types of glomerulonephritis. Remember few names, okay? And if you remember the name, you can explain what actually it means. Okay, example, I'll tell you. Diffuse proliferative glomerulonephritis. Okay, so what is the meaning of this term? Diffuse proliferative glomerulonephritis. Okay, proliferative. There is proliferation of the cells. Okay. Diffuse means whole of the glomerulus is showing this change. Okay, so what happens in case of diffuse glomerulonephritis is there is increase in number of cells. You can see the normal photograph towards the upper part where the number of cells is less, whereas the right lower part you can see in the glomerulus is having more number of cells. Okay, that is due to proliferation of the cells. Okay, so this is also called as post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis because this disease is seen after the pharyngeal infection. Okay, pharynx or the skin infection caused by streptococcus. Okay, so after the infection there is involvement of the kidney, so that's why it is called as post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. So you can see one more diagram showing you increased number of cells in the glomerulus. So in each of these glomerulonephritis, there is some changes at the cellular level. There is changes occurring at the cellular level. Okay, this is a electron microscopic photograph. Electron microscope. Electron microscope can show you different organelles of a cell. Okay, that means within the cell what are the changes that you can see using electron microscope. Here you can see there is a basement membrane. There is some amount of deposition in the basement membrane. Okay, so all this glomerulonephritis is due to deposition of antibodies or antigen antibody complexes in the area where there is filtration. Okay, where there is filtration in the glomerulus. Okay, so if these antibodies can also be stained using immunofluorescence dyes. Okay, so immunofluorescence technique can also be used to diagnose these disorders. So in case of post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, you will see granular deposits of IgG and complement. So clinical features of glomerulonephritis. Okay, as I told you, there are many types of glomerulonephritis. Okay, so these glomerulonephritis will have two types of clinical presentation. Either it will be nephritic syndrome or nephrotic syndrome. So see here, what is nephritic syndrome? Nephritic syndrome means patient will present with hematuria, mild proteinuria and hypertension. Okay, mild proteinuria means less than 3 gram per deciliter. Okay, less than 3 gram per 3 grams of excretion is mild proteinuria. If it is more than 3 grams, it is called as severe proteinuria. Okay, so remember, nephritic syndrome is characterized by hematuria, that means blood in urine, mild proteinuria, that means protein in urine, and hypertension. Okay, so that is called as nephritic syndrome. So another type of nephritis is IgA nephropathy. IgA nephropathy. As the name indicates, there is deposition of antibody IgA antibody in the glomerular membranes. Okay. So this can be diagnosed by using immunofluorescence using anti-IgA antibodies. Anti-IgA antibodies And again, IgA nephropathy presents as nephritic syndrome. As I told you, nephritic syndrome is characterized by hematuria and what else? Proteinuria and hypertension. So next type is minimal change disease. Next type of glomerulonephritis is called as minimal change disease. So why is it named as minimal change? Because under light microscopy you cannot find any change in the glomerulus. Okay, so that's why it is called as minimal change disease. Okay, so then what is happening here is there is loss of food processes of podocytes. You can see the diagram. The upper diagram is showing podocytes, okay, with small processes, food processes, which is absent in the lower diagram. Okay, podocytes with effaced food processes. That means there is no food processes. Okay, so this can be observed by only electron microscope. Okay, so normal microscope will not show any changes. That's why it is called as minimal change disease. And how do these patients present? They present with nephrotic syndrome. So remember here, nephritic syndrome is very rare, but the presentation is mainly nephrotic syndrome. So what do you mean by nephrotic syndrome? There is massive proteinuria, okay, more than 3 grams. Then there is edema and hyperlipidemia. Edema and hyperlipidemia. Next type is focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. Focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. As the name tells you, there is focal sclerosis of the glomerulus. Focal sclerosis of the glomerulus. So you can see center of the glomerulus there is pink shaped, pink colored area. So that is due to sclerosis or hyalinization. So that's why it is called as focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. Again here the patient presents with nephrotic syndrome. The next type is membranous nephropathy. Membranous nephropathy. Because there is deposition of subepithelial complexes. Membranous nephropathy. So you can see there is deposition along the basement membrane. So in light microscopy, the basement membrane looks bit thicker. So this is the electron microscopy showing you the changes in the basement membrane. This is the immunofluorescence showing you granular deposits. Okay. Again, the patient presents with nephrotic syndrome. Nephrotic. Okay, remember nephrotic is massive proteinuria. Nephritic is mild proteinuria. The next type is membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. Again, it is named because there is thickening of the glomerular membrane. You can see there is thickening of the basement membrane. And here 50% of the patients presents with nephrotic syndrome. Okay, and around 20% present with nephritic syndrome. The next is rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis. So it is named so because it will rapidly progress into chronic glomerulonephritis and may lead to renal failure. Okay, so that's why it is called as rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis. It is also called as crescentic glomerulonephritis because there is formation of crescents. You can see the moon-shaped structure is formed because of proliferation of parietal epithelium. In the glomerulus, you can see moon-shaped structure. Okay, that's why it is called as crescent. Crescent means moon-shaped. Okay, and here there is under electron microscopy you can observe the disruption of the basement membrane. Destruction of basement membrane. So rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis again presents with nephritic syndrome. Nephritic syndrome. So this is a diagram showing you the different types of glomerulonephritis. Okay, so the presentation of these will be either nephrotic or nephritic. Okay, so example, minimal change disease has a most tendency to present as nephrotic syndrome, whereas crescentic glomerulonephritis has mostly presents with nephritic. Okay, but few cases may also present as the other form. So this is a table showing you all the details whatever I have told you. is compressed into this table. So as I told you, secondary glomerulonephritis is due to other disorders, okay, which are outside the kidney. Example, diabetes, amyloidosis, SLE. Then as I told you, these glomerulonephritis, acute glomerulonephritis can lead to chronic glomerulonephritis. So okay, whatever I have told you right till now are types of acute glomerulonephritis. So all these acute glomerulonephritis, if it is not treated, or some even after treatment, some cases will go for chronic glomerulonephritis. Okay, so this is called as end stage renal disease. Chronic glomerulonephritis is also called as end stage renal disease. Okay, and 30 to 50% of these cases require hemodialysis or renal transplantation. Okay, so the kidneys are not functioning properly here in this patient, okay, who have chronic glomerulonephritis. So the treatment is hemodialysis or renal transplantation, and usually these people die within around 10 years. So in chronic glomerulonephritis, kidneys are contracted, kidneys are decreased in size. Okay, so this is described as granular contracted kidneys, and glomeruli will be hyalinized. As I told you in the previous slides, there is pink material in the glomeruli. Okay, when the glomeruli, whole of the glomeruli will look pinkish, that is called as hyalinization. So this is a diagram showing you small kidneys called as contracted kidneys. Okay, on the surface there will be granular appearance, that's why they are called as granular contracted kidneys. Okay, so you can see the cortex is thinned out. And these are sclerosed glomeruli. You can see many of the glomeruli there are no cells. Okay, only in the central glomeruli you can see few cells. So these are different types of glomerulonephritis leads to chronic glomerulonephritis. Okay, you can see rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis has a thick arrow. That means more chances of going for chronic glomerulonephritis. The next thick arrow is focal granulosclerosis. Okay, next thicker is membranoproliferative. So thinnest is post-streptococcal granulonephritis. That means very few cases from post-streptococcal granulonephritis end up in chronic granulonephritis. That means most of the cases of post-granulonephritis will be cured. Then coming to pyelonephritis. Pyelonephritis is inflammation of tubules, interstitium and renal pelvis. Inflammation of tubules, interstitium and renal pelvis, okay, due to bacteria. So there are two types of pyelonephritis, acute and chronic. Okay, as you know, acute means there will be neutrophils. Okay, type of WBC seen on acute inflammation is neutrophil. In chronic pyelonephritis, you will see lymphocytes. So in microscopy, if there is an inflammation of the renal parenchyma, renal interstitium, tubules and pelvis, and if the type of cells is neutrophils, it is called as acute pyelonephritis. If it is lymphocytes, then it is called as chronic pyelonephritis. Okay, because there is formation of the scars in chronic pyelonephritis and acute pyelonephritis, so the kidneys will look irregular. Okay, because of the scars in case of chronic pyelonephritis, the kidneys will look irregular like this. You can see there is scarring in the center of the kidney, so it is irregular. And this is called as thyroidization of tubules. Okay, so you can see the tubules of the kidney is showing hyaline material in the center. Okay, so which mimics thyroid. Okay, that's why it is called as thyroidization, which is seen in pyelonephritis. Okay, next coming to obstructions. Obstruction to urine flow can be due to many reasons. Okay, most important is urolithiasis. Uro means urinary tract. Lithiasis means stones. Okay, lithos means stone. Okay, so urolithiasis means renal stones. So other causes of obstruction are congenital, prostate enlargement, tumors, inflammation, pregnancy, or neurological. Okay, so urolithiasis, there are different types of renal stones. Okay, mainly three types. First is the calcium stones, next is magnesium stones, and uric acid stones. Okay, calcium stones, magnesium stones, and uric acid stones. Tumors, either benign or malignant, both if they're obstructing the lumen, they can cause obstructive features. Okay, that means decreased passage of urine, and if there is no passage of the urine, if it is not passed out, then there is retention of urine. So the retention will lead to more of infections. More the retention, more is the infection. Okay, so that's about obstructive diseases. So obstructive diseases, remember, important is urolithiasis or renal stones. Renal stones are three types. Calcium stones is due to increased calcium. Magnesium ammonium phosphate stones are due to bacterial infections. Uric acid is due to increased uric acid levels. Okay, so that's about obstructive disorders. Now, before ending the class, so this is a schedule for your June. Okay, so this is a schedule which will be followed in the month of June for you. Okay, go through this. And the one important thing that I have to tell you is you have two internal assessments. Second internal assessment on 10th of this June. The third is on 1st of July. Okay, so second internal assessment will be on 10th. The topic is renal system, respiratory system and hematology. Topic for second internals is respiratory system and hematology. So these are the important questions that you have to read. Okay, and make notes as much as possible. Make notes for all the questions. Okay, so I've given all long essay, short essay, short answers. Okay, both for hematology and for respiratory system. Okay, so read properly, and I'll be updating the question paper on that particular day, that is second internals is on 10th of June. Okay, read well. Thank you.